Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol, and welcome to my CarVid19 Daily vlog, uploading a new video every evening at 6 PM to keep you sane during lockdown. Now, I'm on my way to the supermarket to get some essential shopping, but thought I'd pull over in a lay-by and just have a chat about a subject that I've found very interesting, but hopefully you will as well. When I bought this JCW Clubman, one of the features I was really excited about having was it has CarPlay, Apple CarPlay, but it has wireless Apple CarPlay. So I don't need to plug in a cable every time I get in the car. It just does that wirelessly. And in this driver's armrest, I have a wireless charge pad, which means I can just drop my phone on there and it will keep itself charged, and happy days. At least I thought that was the case until I tried to use it for more than about an hour and a half. And unfortunately, the phone gets so hot that it basically thermally shuts itself down. So I've done a bit of research to try and find out why that happens and if there's anything I can do about it. Now, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto have been around for quite a long time now, so there's nothing new there, and I've used it in my Audi and in lots of other cars. And generally speaking, the way you do it is you need a cable, you plug the cable into a USB port in the car, you plug the cable into your phone, and then the phone will mirror your smartphone screen onto the MMI screen in the car, and you can control things like your music, you can use navigation apps like Waze or Google Maps, and all things good. And I really like it. It's a very, very useful feature, especially if you use non-standard, or if you like, you'd rather use something like Waze or Google Maps rather than the nav in the car. This car has wireless Apple CarPlay, and the big difference here is when I get into the car, first of all, I don't have to have anything plugged in. I just turn the car on. Now, what's going to happen now is the car and the phone are going to start to communicate with each other using Bluetooth. Now, unfortunately, with Bluetooth, we'll talk about that in a moment, I've now got Apple CarPlay up and running, all done wirelessly. Now, normally your phone would be wirelessly connected to the car using Bluetooth. Bluetooth as a technology has been around a long time, originally developed by Ericsson. I think I was actually working for Ericsson at the time, it was that long ago. Now, the current version of Bluetooth has a maximum data rate, in theory anyway, of about 3 megabits per second. Once you take off some headers and some other system information, actually you're looking at just over 2 megabits per second, which for audio is fine. But if you want to push anything more than audio, that generally isn't a big enough connection or big enough pipe, so you need something more. So the way Apple CarPlay works is it's going to use Bluetooth to connect to Wi-Fi. Before we get on to that, some nerdy facts for you. I can't help myself, I'm talking about telecoms. You know my background. So Bluetooth, the common misconception, by the way, is it's named after a guy because he had blue teeth, and that's just not the case at all. Bluetooth is named after a Norse king called Harald Blatand. Now, he was known as a great communicator. In fact, he unified a number of kingdoms together, and that's why this kind of bringing people together, easing communication, that's why they kind of chose to name things after him. Now, if you anglicise or literally translate his second name, Blatand, into English, it turns into Bluetooth. And that's where the name comes from. Another nerdy fact is that the Bluetooth logo is actually a bind rune merging two different runes, Hagal and Bjarken, an H and a B, Harald Blatand. So basically harking back to his initials. I found that out and thought I'd share it with you. Anyway, let's get back to why we're talking about Bluetooth. So my phone has a connection to the car using Bluetooth for audio. So when you use your hands-free, that's what we all do. Some cars will allow you to stream music through Bluetooth, and again, that's fine, because even really high quality audio streaming, you don't need any more than 2 megabits per second. So for Apple CarPlay, what happens is when my phone came into the car, it's already got a Bluetooth association with the car. It uses that Bluetooth association to negotiate with the car, and I'm actually going to connect to the car's Wi-Fi hotspot. So I'm going to establish a Wi-Fi connection between the phone and the car, and that's what I'm going to use to do the mirroring and to do the wireless Apple CarPlay. Now, Wi-Fi is a far more capable technology. There's lots of different versions of Wi-Fi, but they range in throughput or speed from the really old one. The old version would be about 54 megabits per second up to the very latest version, which is over 1300 megabits per second. So even, you know, under normal circumstances, the vast majority of us will have hundreds of megabits per second available, which is ample, way more than you'd need. You know, you don't even need that much to stream an 8K TV show. So I've now got a wireless link provided by Wi-Fi, and then once that's in place, the phone drops the Bluetooth connection, and everything is done through Wi-Fi, including your phone, which is why if you did try and use some of your steering wheel mounted controls, often cars will pop up and say, no, you need to use the actual Apple CarPlay interface itself, because everything's going through Wi-Fi. So I've now got a Wi-Fi link, happy days, and now I can start to use my apps on my phone. Let's say a navigation app like Waze. I'm going to stream some music, whatever it might be. This is the first heat generator. First things first, the more things I ask my phone to do, the more processing it needs to do, the more heat is generated. And if I'm transmitting stuff using Wi-Fi, again, the more heat is generated. So just the process of driving more apps from your phone using that wireless link means that this is going to get warm. So even before we get onto the wireless charging, the second you start using wireless Apple CarPlay, your phone is going to start to heat up and start to get warm. The problem comes when I want to charge it. Now then, let's have a chat about wireless charging. I'm not going to go off on one in too much detail, but the fundamentals are relatively straightforward. First things first, the wireless charging, there are a few it depends. And the it depends are, the big one is the distance between the thing I want to charge and the actual charge pad itself. And then you can throw into things like the speed of charge, the size of the battery, and those types of things. But the fundamentals are, I have two coils, a primary coil which is in the charge pad, and then a secondary coil which is in the back of the phone in this case. But we'd also see wireless charging on everything from, I don't know, an electric toothbrush. There's a whole bunch of things that use that kind of wireless charging capability. So what happens is on the induction coil on the primary charge pad here, I basically pass an alternating current through that coil, and that basically produces a magnetic field, and because it's an alternating current, the magnetic field changes. And what happens is that magnetic field is picked up by the coil in the secondary coil, and that magnetic field then does the reverse of the process and turns the magnetic field into an alternating current on your phone. And then the final thing is I need to pass that alternating current through a rectifier to turn it into a direct current, and then it can be used to charge the battery in your phone. Fairly straightforward process. The problem with it is it's not particularly efficient in terms of how quickly I can get juice into my phone. It would be far more efficient for me to use a normal charging cable. Just plug that in and that would be quicker and more efficient. The inefficiencies of wireless charging, one of the byproducts is heat. I don't know how many of you got an induction hob in your kitchen. How do you think that works? A very similar process. So one of the byproducts is heat. So it's hugely inefficient. You'll notice if you've ever used a wireless charge mat, the phone takes much longer to get to full charge than it would do if you plugged a cable in. So I've got multiple things working against me here. Three really. Number one, I'm using more apps on my phone and a wireless link to connect to the car, which generates heat and also starts to use up power from your phone. So your battery life is going to start to be reduced because you're using wireless Apple CarPlay. So you need to then plug it in. So the second thing that's working against me is the induction coil process generates quite a lot of heat. So this thing gets even hotter. And then the final thing, I put it in here. I do love the way that just slides in. But the final thing is I go like that, and I shut it into an enclosed space. There's no airflow, there's no cooling. And my experience of that is that if that's in there for any more than about an hour to an hour and a half, the phone gets so hot that it goes into its thermal shutdown. and literally turns off. And the first thing you'll notice is if you're in a phone call, and that's the other thing, if you start using things like the phone and those, then it's going to get even worse. But you're in a phone call, suddenly the phone call will drop or your nav screen will disappear. So what you need to do every hour or so is take the phone off the charge pad and put it somewhere else in the car just to let it cool down. And then keep an eye. I mean, one of the nice things, you've got a battery state indicator on the main screen, so when you start to see that dropping, you can just drop it on the wireless charge pad for 40 minutes or whatever if you're on a really long journey. Now, I need to state, this isn't just a Mini problem. I kind of spoke to Mini about this and said, look, do you have any fixes, any issues that, you know, or things that you can kind of help with? And the problem is, it just goes against the physics. The way I've explained how it works, it's very difficult. The best solution I could think of is, what if you extended the aircon system to blow cooled air into this phone area, so you effectively had a chilled phone holder and cooled that down? That might work. I think that would be a really good idea, but I'm sure that would be quite difficult to retrofit, if not impossible. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think and what your experiences are of this. Have any of you got this feature in the car? It's super convenient. I love it. You are on a short run to the shops, you know, you have your phone in your pocket, it quickly pops up Apple CarPlay, and you can, you know, do your music. I love just hitting Waze and using Waze as my navigation, because it's got things like speed camera warnings and stuff. It's really convenient. On a longer journey, it's again really convenient. You can stick stuff on there, dead easy to go through your different music apps. But you start to, if you don't plug the phone in, the battery does start to disappear quite quickly. So you think, oh, it's even better, I'll stick it on the wireless charge pad. And that's great, but any longer than an hour and a half journey, you're going to start having heating problems. It's not just a Mini problem. Same with Audi, same with BMW, same with Mercedes. Anybody with a wireless car charge pad, it doesn't charge that quickly and it gets too hot. But maybe we forgive it for the convenience. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed that one. Kind of had to get my technical trainer head on for a little bit there. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, one final thing before we finish. A little mod I did to Charlie. It wasn't enough work to justify a whole video, but I have put these little piano black inserts on the steering wheel. They're just little plastic covers that clip and stick in place, and I must say I'm delighted with them. I think they look absolutely brilliant. I shall put a link in the description below if you're interested. But I hope you enjoyed that one. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys, but you take care. Stay safe.